Going. Hello, everyone. We are live. Thank you. Thank you. You are here one more day, one more Sunday at Caregivers Embracing Elder Care. My name is Fahamia Ulysses. I am your geriatric care manager, also known as Nurse in the Know. And I am joined here by my wonderful co-host, Miss Robin Downs of Yoga Flava. Hi, Robin. How are you? And her lovely father, Sergeant Major William Downs. How are you doing today, Sergeant Major?
Good to
Wonderful. I'm so happy to have you guys on, and we're back. We're here. We're renewed one more week. Tell us how you guys are doing today. What's been going on for you? How's the week been rounding out? Or the new week, I should say.
Overall, good. We're feeling good. We did some chair yoga together this morning. I was very impressed with the level of movement that my father had. I never know exactly what's going to happen, but always delighted to see him participating and moving.
I am too. Oh, that's so good. How's the weather over there? I have to ask. I'm in Southern California, as many of you may or may not know, Los Angeles. Tell me how it's going over there.
Well, you see, Sergeant Major has his wool shirt on.
Yes, and you have your sweater, Robin.
Sweater weather, right? Yes. So yes, the temperature is dropping, 50s, 40s. Yeah. So
you're there.
Oh, it's 60. Okay, so it's 60. Okay,
not too bad.
60,
We're almost there.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this before. I'm originally from Boston, so I remember the
Boston.
Boston. Yes. I love Boston. But the flannel, all that, Sergeant Major, I totally dig it. I love it, and I can relate. So you're speaking to me right here. That's why I had to ask. And over here in Southern California, it is sunny. I can't say enough about this little heat wave that we've been going through. So. I'm not going to complain and I'm not going to brag, but I got a little extended summer here.
Wonderful.
So I don't want to take up too much time with my shenanigans. I want to get into our meditation and affirmation. For those of you who aren't familiar with our show, every week we get together with all of our caregivers who are caring for their aging parents, and we want to basically bring you some support. One of the ways that we do that is through our first segment of what Robin brings to us as almost a meditation, affirmation, and then sometimes we do a little yoga, but for the most part, we get kind of into a different frequency and vibe so we can really talk about some of these issues. Take it away, Robin.
Okay, for today, let's start by squeezing the shoulders to the ears, squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. Slowly the shoulders come down, slowly the shoulders come together forward. Continue on giving yourself 4 slow, exaggerated shoulder rolls back. Full range of motion, loosening up any unconscious gripping, holding, tension. Let it roll off your shoulders, literally. And then change the direction. Full range of motion. Ears forward, 4 shoulder rolls forward. And then today, I wanted to deal with the throat chakra and communication. And there is a chant that's pretty much known, or maybe you don't know about it. It's the sound of Om. It's the universal sound. So just tuning into that, because today's affirmation has to deal with good communication. So just balancing out the throat chakra. So this is what we're going to do. Inhale, full belly breath. And as we exhale, we say, Om. Good. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, full belly breath. Exhaling, Om. One more time. Inhale, full belly breath. And as we exhale, Om. And today's affirmation is, I am a great communicator with my loved ones. I am a great communicator with my loved ones. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you.
Robin, that was a good one. They're always good. You know, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of it all. Sergeant Major, what do you say? I think this one.
I like it.
You like it? There we go. See, that's it. And that's it. I really do vibe with the communication with your loved one, being a good communicator. We were talking a little bit about that, Robin, right? Having the ability, especially with your loved one who may have memory loss, dementia, or Alzheimer's, or any other cognitive issues, because sometimes memory loss doesn't necessarily have to deal with the diagnosis of dementia, right? But having that clear communication, Robin, can you tell our viewers just a little bit about, your communication style? Because I think this is a real point that a lot of people miss when they're trying to figure out their caregiver path.
Wow, there's many communication styles that I have, Bahamia, depending on the mood. So depending on the mood, yes, sometimes I can calmly communicate with my father, and other times I do express myself through tears, and because sometimes the words may not do it, just to let him know that I'm in distress, and there's a problem that I need to find the solution for. So just assessing the situation. And when I say the tears, I say that because I realize that you don't want to hold it all in all the time. You don't want to lash out, but sometimes just allowing for the tears, and then maybe you need to go and compose yourself and come back. But you do have to be able to clearly communicate and not hold things in so that you're suffering.
Yes. Good, Robin. I think that part right there is key when you talked about not holding it in, because then you suffer. That part right there, I think a lot of caregivers have challenges with it because they don't know how to effectively communicate and express themselves in a way that doesn't make them seem weak, in a way that doesn't make them seem too vulnerable, and also in a way that doesn't kind of look or have other people looking at them like they're crazy. I've had a lot of caregivers who feel like they get judged. They get judged by the way that they come off if they are in one of those moments. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, and I'll move along. But
my father will ask me, "What can I do for you? What can I do for you?" And yesterday I was just like, just let me cry. I just want to cry right now. Let me just get it all out. I'm feeling, a bit fatigued. I've had issues with my back. I've had, a lot on my plate, and I just need to cry right now.
Yeah. And let it out, and have it and be done. Because I've talked to caregivers along the way where they say sometimes they have to go into their car and cry, or they'll cry in the shower or whatever. And I don't mean to make this too heavy, but I want to make sure that caregivers who are listening know that when it comes to the point where you have to emotionally release, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Really, for real.
The harder it is to kind of come out of that space when it is time to effectively communicate. So thank you so much.
If it's so bottled up, it'll blast out when you least expect it.
Unexpectedly, in the wrong place, right? Yes. I hear you. I've been there. We've all been there. So those are part of the things that we're going to work on with our caregivers in our 3-day workshop. I almost forgot to say that, because I think I get so wrapped up in talking about caregivers that I forget to let everyone know that we are having a 3-day free event for our caregivers. Robin, can you tell them a little bit about it? Because I burst and I don't get it all out. Tell me, just tell them, Robin.
Well, I love that we condensed it to saying a caregiver's holiday reset.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
Our gift to you, because we have been trying to figure out how best to be of service. And Bahami and I, if you've been watching us the last couple of weeks, we've been, trying to figure out succinctly what it is. So it's a 3-day free caregivers holiday reset. Resetting, because we know the holidays are coming, and whatever vibe you've been in, summer transitioning into fall. Okay, how are we all now transitioning into this holiday season, which is here because the catalogs have arrived.
They have all arrived. The pandemic is still looming. The holidays have approached, and we need a plan. We need support as caregivers. So that's part of why we decided to put on this workshop. So if you're listening right now, go ahead, sign up, go to caregiverholidayreset.com. And you will be able to, you'll see our page, go ahead, sign up and share it with someone, caregiverholidayreset.com. It's a huge event. We want to make sure that we're getting every caregiver involved, because throughout the next several weeks, it's going to be a little challenging. And I think we're all kind of not knowing what to expect. But when you're in our caregiver experience, you'll know the things that you can do in terms of tools and resources in those moments of frustration when you're not, really yourself, but you have to show up as the caregiver. All right. So I think we can move along now that we've said that housekeeping is out. The other big thing I want to talk about is, drumroll, Medicare Open Enrollment. So Robin, tell me if what you know about open enrollment, because I think I like to start there with all of my caregivers, so that as we start to develop our plan and our approach, we know what to expect and what open enrollment and Medicare even really is.
That's something that could make you cry. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And thank goodness when I stepped into the caregiving role, Dad had all of that in place. Mm-hmm. There was a point where I was thinking about reevaluating it, and it was a lot. And I was just like, you know what? If it's not broke, thank goodness you put things in place, and we're just going to let that be. I did get a phone call from a friend of mine who recently turned 65, and he had to go through the process. He was near tears himself. And he was explaining to me how confusing, how stressful the whole situation is. So I'm 60. I have a few more years before, 65, right? That's a whole 65.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
A few more years. Dad's stuff is in place. It's been working. And I'm just hearing from other people who are venturing forth that it's quite challenging. So what do you have to say about it?
So what do I have to say about it? First and foremost, yes, very, very challenging indeed, because I think people get caught up in all the parts. Part of what I'll be doing on my page this week, and even on, I think I'll go live a few times just because I really want to get this information out, is breaking down what these parts, Medicare Part A, Medicare Part B, Part D, all the way up to, I want to say it's H. I know, or even M. There are some, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later down the line. But I just wanted to kind of bring out a few key things, because we're going to move into some other questions, but a few things that I wanted to talk about with Medicare in signing up. This is the open enrollment window, started on October 15th. You have about 60 days. And I think they may extend it a little bit. Sometimes they'll extend it to the 31st of December. That's usually like the cutoff. I think it sometimes also depends on the state, because I know here in California, they do extend it. So you want to make sure that you know what your deadline is. Be very, very clear about that. Okay. And I'll also know that and some people get it confused. Medicare and Medicaid, two totally different things. Okay, so Medicare being what takes care of your medical expenses, your medical bills, things like hospital stays, doctor's office visits, and if you have chiropractors, specialists, things of that nature, that's what Medicare is designed to do. And one more tip that I wanted to say, because I feel like this is what gets a lot of my caregiver families kind of caught up, is that when you're designing or looking at the plans, make sure two things. Number one, if your loved one is on any prescription medication, you want to know if they need to always stay on the name brand of that drug, because there's obviously going to be a difference in price. But when you're coming to pick out the different parts of Medicare, or if you decide to go with an Advantage plan, you have to know if they'll cover and how much they'll cover that name brand drug. I can't tell you how many people I have to shuffle around. This is the busiest part of my season, my work season.
Wow.
Because they end up on a plan they had no idea didn't cover certain medications. and they don't have the funds to fill the gap.
Wow.
And so that's where we talk about gap coverage. And I'm not going to go into everything today because it is a real breakdown. I have to kind of take everything apart because it's too confusing in one sitting. But I just want to make sure those two, the first one was that your coverage for your prescription drugs, medication, and then, so the first one was the deadline. The second one was the prescription drug medications. Because those two things I think people lose sight of, and they're very, very small, but they make a big deal 6 months from now when you either didn't get the Medicare that you wanted and you didn't get the meds, or you don't have the funds to cover the meds that you need.
Okay, 1 second. Dad, do you understand what she's talking about?
It's confusing, but I got stuff.
Got a little bit. Thank you, Sergeant Major. Thank you so much. I'm trying. I'm going to break it down because I really think that people, even and things change, right? Things really do change. And so people really want not only...
Is that going to be covered in our class? Well,
it actually will.
Okay. All right.
Well,
yes. That's wonderful. Once again, for people who are on the fence, here's another reason to sign up for, the event, and we're going to have some follow up, from that. So there's
absolutely
a lot of moving parts to this. And even if you're someone like my age where, 5 years, from now where I have to sign up, I'm hoping that it'll be a lot easier because I'll be educated, or the children of people who have, parents my age, and 5 years from now, they're going to have to, because jumping into it when you're that age and
it's very confusing. Very confusing. So I think I will take a little bit of time throughout the week to just break it down. And for sure, if you're coming to our workshop, our reset is part of the reset is geriatrics, knowing what you need to know about kind of moving forward post-COVID, right? Because I think things have changed and we really need to know what it's going to look like. And then Robin's piece in our full reset is about aligning in your caregiver path so that you're able to kind of handle the things that are thrown at you as we evolve through what our healthcare system is going to look like for our seniors moving forward, right?
Yes.
So now we're going to move to our next segment. It's a Q&A. Robin and I get questions throughout the week. We get them in our posts. We get them in our DMs. We want to be able to answer as many as we can. This particular episode will stream live to our private Facebook group. So you'll be able to come on in. If you're not part of our private Facebook group, Caregivers Embracing Elder Care is where it's at. All of this stuff stays up. So if you ever need to kind of refer back to it, here it is. Our first question, I think this one was for me. We have Tina who says, I am the primary caregiver for my parents, ages 92 and 90. My father's has Parkinson's and he's being released from the hospital. My mother, who is in better shape than my father, would be with him all day, but is not equally equipped to help him out a lot. I'm also working full time and I have requested a week to get things settled, but in short, I'm terrified. I know, I can imagine. How do I help them? My mom is unable to be a true caregiver and teeters from depressed to agitated to nearly non-functional cognitively. So it sounds like she might have a little bit of memory loss there. And I live with them. I have no spouse, children, or siblings. I did not ask for him to be released to the nursing home or rehab, as no visitors are allowed, and it would disorient and disturb him greatly. What would my suggestions be? I am overwhelmed. Yikes. I hear you. I would be overwhelmed too, especially if my father was coming home from an acute hospital stay. So I'm going to give you 3 tips, 3 things that I would absolutely kind of make sure was already done before he got home, or even if he is home and you're just kind of trying to figure things out. Number 1 is safety. That's always going to be my number 1 rule of geriatric care management, and just being able to make sure your parents stay safe and not have to be back in the hospital. So make sure that you're home, especially if he's come back in a way that is physically less able to do what he did before. Make sure you've got your grab bars. Make sure you've got your slip resistant masks in the showers. Make sure that you have things that are kind of out of reach, especially with Parkinson's. Mobility, weight distribution is an issue. So you want to make sure things are within reach. You want to make sure things aren't, in a sense, where like the floors are clear. They don't have clutter, no rugs, things of that nature. Number two, make sure that his medication list has been updated, and whatever happened in the hospital, his primary care physician is aware. I know it kind of happens, or haphazardly you would think that your doctor knows that you've been in the hospital and that meds have been changed, but in fact they don't. Oftentimes they wait for you to follow up with them. And so that this kind of is to be. Make sure that you also have a follow-up doctor's office visit scheduled, so that as soon as, even if it's a week, but sometime within a decent time frame, your primary care physician is seeing him post being back from the hospital. I totally understand not wanting to go to rehab at this time with anyone, because it's really tough. They're kind of teetering between a cesspool of infection and bacteria and illness, and actually getting the rehab. So this is my number 3. For the rehab, if you're going home and you're kind of concerned that there's weakness, mobility issues, things of that nature, make sure you have a home health agency that is coming home with you. Have you had experiences with that, Robin? I see you nodding your head.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's what I was thinking about immediately. Our blessing was that when my father came home from the hospital, my neighbor had a roommate who was a certified nursing assistant. So she had just left her job. So she like knocked on the door and immediately was able, that was like an angel. Yeah. So we immediately had help. And also one of my girlfriends who worked at an assisted living facility told me straight up, Robin, don't go over there with, thinking that you could do it all by yourself. So the home aides are really essential. And, at first we had to pay out of pocket until we figured out how to get the insurance to cover it. But definitely that's the advice as well. Don't try to do it by yourself. If you don't have the insurance to cover it, at least get a dear friend, a dear neighbor until you get everything in place. But talk about burnout quickly. If you try to do it by yourself, really allow yourself to get help.
Definitely, especially that you're taking care of both mother and father. So that's like burnout 10x, right? Because both who are trying to adjust. And good point, Robin, about hiring the private caregivers. They're not cheap, but I say this, you have to weigh what going to a hospital, having a hospital stay, you having to take time out of work, all these things that could end up happening because you don't have the time that you need to yourself. Even if you were to hire, I always suggest, of course, a full-time caregiver will probably not be cost effective. But if you can do 1, maybe 2 days where you have 4 hours or 8 hours, whatever it is, to get certain things done, that burnout isn't going to set in as quick. I promise you that. I think a lot of our caregivers tend to feel burnout when they feel like their lives are centrally focused on caregiving, nothing else gets done, and they have obligations and responsibilities to other things.
And right? that's a job in and of itself. My father makes me laugh. He's like, oh, get some help. And I'm like, it's a job, even just, soliciting help. So if you're, amongst all the jobs as a caregiver that you need to do in that particular situation, you do need to prioritize, getting help.
Yes. Robin, we have a question here for you. Let me just take a look. This is from Sylvia. She says, what is the best way to encourage my mother to be more active? I've been trying to get her to do some stretches with me, but she doesn't stay consistent. Do you have any tips? Thanks, Sylvia.
Yes, I do, Sylvia. You have to see what sparks your mother's interests. What I have done with Sergeant Major is that I would go to YouTube, until our video comes out.
Right.
Go to YouTube and look up chair yoga, which is really good, workouts for seniors, yoga for seniors. And then, you just put on different videos and you do it, and with gentle encouragement, you see if they're doing it too, and then hopefully you'll come across something that inspires your mother. And like, so if it's not the first video, then try the second one, but just still maybe at a certain time that's comfortable for you. And maybe it's trying different times to see where your mother responds, but just gently, just try different things and see what, perks her interest, and that gentle encouragement. And once again, if none of those things, what's her favorite music? What music did she like to listen to back in the day? So if you put that on and she gets up and does, some dancing, hey, that's a start.
That's a start. That's a good point, Robin. That's a start. Because I think what Tina was saying, what she was getting at, was really important too, that she's concerned about the consistency. And unfortunately, I think we tend to get caught up in wanting things to be a certain way and happen a certain way. And knowing that caregiving is a day-to-day experience will bring you a little bit more ease when you're looking at how to help your parents.
Yeah. And especially since it is a parent, you know them. Once again, when it's time for dad to take a shower, I know putting on some salsa music will get him up and get him moving. Right, Dad?
Ooh. I didn't know you were interested in salsa, Sergeant Major.
My goodness. I haven't showed you the videos of him salsa dancing. Oh, yes.
Oh, no. I have to see. Oh, Sergeant Major, you've been holding out on us. You've been holding out on us.
It's phenomenal.
I love it. I love it. Oh, aren't you all excited to see Sergeant Major? I can't wait. All right. Maybe you'll show us a little something in the workshop that we have. The reset is going to be something.
Do that.
I think the reset is going to be something that people really aren't anticipating, because I think Sergeant Major and Robin's job is to bring the fun. I'm sort of fun. I'm a little fun, but you two got the fun kind of locked down, right? I think that's what people need to know.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys. I want to make sure that we covered everything. Was there anything that I missed? We're coming up on time here. And I like to try to keep it right under 30 minutes for our viewers. They don't really have much time, but we do appreciate them coming here.
Well, especially for the people who are in our private group, Caregivers Embracing Elder Care. If you haven't signed up yet, please do so. This group is for you, and just don't want you to wait till the last minute. Sign up now. This is our gift to you. This is really important, and even if you're like, oh, I don't know if I need it, I think you might want to check it out.
I think so too. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and pleased. And you need a break. I think part of the reset is just, like I said last week, to be able to give people an opportunity to come together in a space that not only do we understand one another, but we're here to help support and lift up one another, right? All positive vibes, all good flows. And we love our elders, so we're doing the best that we can, right?
Now, Bahamia, I know we're saying mainly caregivers, and I'm going to bring Sergeant Major.
Yes.
And I'd like to encourage everyone to bring their loved ones as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Sergeant Major is looking forward to socializing.
He is.
With other people, and it's going to be a Zoom platform. Is that correct?
It is. And we will be streaming live from your page and our Zoom. It'll be great. I think, yes, absolutely. Bring your loved one, because even if they don't participate in every day, there is going to be something there for them. We're going to break it up. Well, you guys will have the schedule and all that. We'll break it up really nice so that you can kind of pick and choose where they might participate in. And then you will have it there for you as we go through it step by step.
Mm-hmm. So. Or even just an opportunity to, get cute for the camera.
I know, right? And just look good for the camera and socialize and have a little fun and dance and do a little salsa. Yeah. I'm ready for it. Sergeant Major. I'm already signed up. So, all right, guys, that's all I have for today. We are running out of time, or we have ran out of time. Thank you so much for coming to Caregivers Embracing Elder Care. We are here every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here to help anybody who's really looking at resetting, embracing their caregiving journey, path, and season. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Sergeant Major, Robin, thank you so much for joining me again.
Welcome.
Thank you for embracing us.
Yes, caregivers embracing elder care.